Happy Thursday morning, March 25th, 2021. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this Thursday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. It's time to rise and shine and get this Thursday morning off to a good start. So sit back, relax, and grab that cup of coffee and enjoy this Thursday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King, where we have a little bit of everything for you in this program. But first, we're going to start off with a check of your COVID-19 dashboard from Johns Hopkins University in Medicine. Let's take a look at that right now. And here's a look at that for all of you right now. Your global cases are 124,894,108. Your U.S. cases are 30,011,551. Your global deaths are 2,745,702. U.S. deaths are 545,282. And that is a look at your Johns Hopkins University COVID-19 dashboard. Now let's get to your other news right now. First up, Biden administration allows access to border facility, but not ones over capacity. Biden holds the first formal solo news conference of his presidency today. The Biden administration on Wednesday for the first time let journalists into a Texas border facility housing young migrants who crossed the southern border after weeks of denying access to members of the news media. But it has continued to keep reporters out of other detention-like facilities filed well over their capacity. A reporter and camera crew were permitted on Wednesday to enter a facility in Carrizo Springs, Texas, run by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Office of Refugees Resettlement. They accompanied a delegation of White House officials and members of Congress touring the facility for minors who have arrived at the border unaccompanied by parents. They saw intake and dining areas as well as a medical clinic, but they were not allowed to speak to any of the minors. The administration granted the press access a day before President Joe Biden is scheduled to hold the first formal solo news conference of his presidency, where he is likely to face questions about why the administration was keeping the news media out. It comes the same day Biden said he was tapping Vice President Kamala Harris to lead his administration's efforts to stem the flow of migrants from Central America, and just as the president, for the first time, brought reporters into the White House meeting on immigration. The influx of unaccompanied minors on the border has posed a potential political threat to the president, who has come under fire from Republicans for handling of the situation. Used during the Trump administration, but shattered in July of 2019, the Carrizo Springs facility was reopened last month to accommodate the increased number of unaccompanied children crossing the border. Reporters had been allowed in under former President Donald Trump, although recording devices were not allowed inside. There are currently 766 boys ranging from ages 13 to 17 years old in the facility, which has never reached its capacity of 952. Officials told reporters who represented several U.S. television networks, including ABC News, while the journalists were not allowed to speak with the children whom they saw walking around the grounds and playing soccer and basketball, the members of Congress touring the facility were. Officials said the facility is not at capacity since they have to set aside space for teens who test positive for COVID-19 when they arrive at the facility, and that 108 have tested positive, according to the reporter. The group was also taken into an empty classroom, recording videos of piles of clothing for new arrivals, and saw employees walking around outside the buildings on the ground. The administration has continued to block access to other facilities along the border that actually have far surpassed their capacity. The White House has cited concerns over privacy and the coronavirus pandemic. The Carrazzo Springs HHS facility and others like it represents the second step for many unaccompanied minors picked up by U.S. authorities on the southern border. First, they are typically taken to detention-like facilities run by U.S. Customs and Border Protection, where they are by law only supposed to be remain for up to 72 hours before being transferred to HHS shelter or sent to live with sponsors. Those facilities do not have the same capacity for dealing with children that HHS ones do. In recent weeks, the CBP facility have become overwhelmed with thousands of minors waiting to be transferred. A record as HHS has struggled to provide enough space. HHS has recently said it was opening special intake facilities at convention centers in Dallas and San Diego to help take more minors out of the CBP custody. The department plans to open a second facility in Carrazzo Springs and is bringing another similar facility online in Pesco, Texas, to house a total of 2,500 migrant kids. As of this week, there were approximately 10,500 minors in HHS custody, with nearly 5,000 in CBP custody. The first glimpse inside crowded CBP facility came Monday from Democrat Rep. Henry Culler, who released photographs showing migrants packed into a CBP overflow facility in Donna, Texas. The next day, CBP released its own video showing the inside of Donna's facility and another one in El Paso, Texas. Under Trump, the CBP officials did allow members of the media to visit a port of entry processing center and border patrol station, but due to privacy concerns, cameras were not allowed to film the interior area. When then Vice President Mike Pence took the press with him to two migrant detention centers in July of 2019, with the Trump administration under fire for crowded, unsanitary conditions there, the visit granted dramatic images of Pence standing before hundreds of migrants crammed into cages. Republicans have criticized the Biden team for, they say, being unprepared for migrants coming into the United States in response to Biden rolling back former President Donald Trump's restrictive immigration policies. The White House, meanwhile, has pointed fingers at Trump, saying his administration extradited the situation by systematically ripping families apart, treating people fleeing violence and poverty with impunity, and neglecting or dismantling the system set up to deal with them. Trump's administration turned away minors and separated children from their parents as a matter of policy, and hundreds still remain apart as a consequence. Biden, on the other hand, has made clear he does not want to turn away the children and teenagers arriving at the border alone. Atlanta man arrested with 6 guns, body armor at Publix grocery store. The incident came 2 days after a mass shooting at a grocery store in Colorado. Minority communities were hardest hit by spring and summer of 2020 COVID waves, CDC says. Black and Asian communities had doubled and reported incidents. Stock features rise slightly as pressure on tech stocks pauses. Future contracts tied to the major U.S. stock index rose modestly in early morning trading on Thursday after pressure on technology stocks sent the Nasdaq down 2% during the regular season. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather. Let's take a look at the weather across the United States right now. And here is a look at that weather across the United States for all of you right now. As you can see, on this side of the United States, you're seeing some rain and some snow around here on this part of the United States. Then over here by Dallas, Texas, and Atlanta and Memphis, you're seeing some rain. Then over here, there's some rain as well all around here. Otherwise, other parts of the United States is mainly dry and clear. And that is a look at the weather across the United States for this Thursday. And let's switch gears now. New Muppets, Wheeze and Elijah teach kids about race. Let's take a listen to that video from Good Morning America ABC News.
There's lots to love at the JCPenney Spring Style event. So many looks you just can't resist. The very best of spring price to bring it all home. Plus, save an extra 20% with coupon. Set your sights on spring at JCPenney.
Sesame Street. Now, some new members of Sesame Street are helping families everywhere tackle some tough topics. Meet Elijah and Wes, the black father and son who are bringing us the ABCs of racial literacy. Take a look.
Sunny days.
It's the place where you go to learn your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s.
That's the number of the day.
Now, 2 new friends are teaming up with Elmo and his pals on Sesame Street to teach children a different set of important skills, the ABCs of racial literacy. Meet Wes and his dad, Elijah. They're helping Elmo tackle big topics like skin color in a way little minds can understand.
Elmo wants to know why Wes's skin is brown.
Oh, I know why, Elmo. My mom and dad told me. It's because of melanin. Right, Dad?
That's right.
Melanin? What's that?
Well, melanin is something that we each have inside our bodies that make the outside of our bodies the skin color that it is. It also gives us our eye and our hair color.
Oh, and our hair color?
Yes, that's right. Exactly, Elmo.
Sesame Workshop unveiled the two black characters Tuesday as part of its ongoing racial justice initiative, Coming Together, providing free digital content to help parents spark meaningful conversations about race with their children.
Young kids, since infancy, start understanding differences and giving value to those differences. The idea here is, how do we address it in an age-appropriate way?
Well, Sesame Workshop has these free resources and more online in both English and Spanish to help parents talk to their young children about race.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our...
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Good information there. And let's switch gears now. Let's go to entertainment news. And in entertainment news, TV star George Siegel died at 87.
If I...
Celebrate the life of actor George Siegel now. From making us laugh in his later years on The Goldbergs, the Oscar nominee wowed audiences on TV and in movies for decades, and our Chris Connolly joins us more on his legacy. Chris, good morning.
Good morning, TJ. So good as a leading man in films of the 1970s like Bloom in Love and A Touch of Class, and more recently very much beloved for his comedic work on the small screen.
I think she's eyeballing me. Move your melon, Murray, so I can enchant her with a coy wink.
George Siegel made millions laugh for years as the loving grandfather on ABC's The Goldbergs.
Awesome. That's game, kiddo. Better luck next time.
Come on, Pops. Let me win at least one.
That's a terrible lesson. I'm gonna beat your ass again real quick.
And the workaholic father on the sitcom Just Shoot Me.
God, with that desert sun, her skin must look like a belt.
But his decade-spanning career began with dramatic turns in King Rat.
Go find Colonel Brand and give him this.
And Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, alongside Elizabeth Taylor and Richard Burton.
Kept your body?
It's still pretty good. I work out.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yes. He has a very firm body.
Have you? Oh, I think that's very nice.
Well, you never know. You know, once you have it.
You never know when it's going to come in handy.
That role earning him an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor.
You were doing okay until Candace walked in.
Overnight, Barbra Streisand, with whom he collaborated on The Mirror Has Two Faces.
You mean to tell me that you ran all the way to Rice's just to tell me that?
I didn't run all the way. I jogged.
You could have sent me a letter.
I didn't know your address.
You could have given it to Eleanor.
I wanted to see you again.
And The Owl and the Pussycat, tweeting, "So sorry to hear about George Siegel's passing. May he rest in peace." Wendy McClendon Covey, who played his daughter on The Goldbergs, posting this, "Didn't know the last time I saw you would be the last time I'd see you." Siegel died of complications from bypass surgery Tuesday morning. ABC Entertainment saying his talent has left an indelible mark, and we're grateful for the laughter and joy he has given us all. Guys?
We certainly are. We certainly are grateful for that.
I was surprised. I forgot all of the amazing movies and everything he contributed to over the years.
Especially the dramatic roles.
Yeah.
Because we keep
We think of him as being
Pop.
funny.
Yeah, exactly.
He will be missed indeed.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks.
Okay, and there you go. He will surely be missed. Demi Lovato reveals she was legally blind following Overdose. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
When you're searching for a home and you find a listing you love, Zillow.
I was legally blind when I woke up, and my little sister was at my bedside, and I was so blind that I couldn't see who she was.
Demi Lovato details her 2018 overdose and the lasting impact it's had on her health.
I'm really lucky to be alive. My doctors said that, I had 5 to 10 more minutes, and had my assistant not come in, I wouldn't be here today.
Episode 1 and 2 of the I Love Me Singers 4-part docuseries Dancing with the Devil dropped Tuesday on YouTube, and the 28-year-old singer is getting candid about the night she overdosed on heroin.
Her objective was to clear the air, to tell her story, to speak her truth.
Demi explains that she was celebrating her friend and creative director Danny Vitale's birthday at a bar in LA. At around 12:30 a.m., Demi invited everyone back to her house, where Danny says they drank sparkling water and danced on the roof until they all got tired and went home.
I said I was going to bed, but the reality was I had called my dealer over.
The next morning, it was the singer's then assistant, Jordan Jackson, who found her unconscious in her bedroom.
I thought that she was just drunk or hungover. So I kind of started to nudge her a little bit, hey, let's get up now. It's time to go. She wasn't really moving. She was drooling.
Jordan said she called Demi's security before then calling 911.
The ambulance came. They came upstairs to her room. They got their Narcan out, trying to really just bring her back to life. There was one point where she turned blue. I was just she's dead for sure. Yeah, it was the craziest thing I've ever seen.
And while Demi survived her OD, it didn't come without complications.
I actually don't think people realize how bad it actually was. I had 3 strokes. I had a heart attack. I suffered brain damage from the strokes. I can't drive anymore. And I have blind spots in my vision.
She gets into, how bad that night of the overdose really was, how scary it was. I think people will learn for the first time how truly life or death that situation was. How tough was that for her to relive, for her family to relive? What were those interviews like?
Tough. All of the interviews were really heavy. This film, Dancing with the Devil, ultimately is about a moment in time. Obviously, that horrible incident where the overdose occurred, and ultimately how we got there. It's ultimately this nucleus, and you peel back the layers of the onion in it, and it all leads you in a non-linear way to this moment. And I think a lot of the people that I sat down with hadn't properly spoken about it in the open to this level at any point.
E.T. chatted with Michael D. Ratner, the doc's director, and he revealed why it was so important to Demi to lay it all out on the table.
She leaned into it, and anything that made her uncomfortable, she understood the power of that. And, we say it right there in the film, you're not defined by your lowest moments. And sharing those lowest moments should ultimately allow and invite people to talk about theirs and start a dialogue. And, most importantly, Demi's not telling anybody how to live their life. Everybody's got their own unique situations. She's simply telling you what she's been through, her unique journey. And, I think that will provide an opportunity for others to do the same.
It's not very common that you'd see someone with a drug-related overdose with this degree of multi-organ failure that would come out of it relatively unscathed and do as well as she has.
It's a nice reminder that it wasn't my time, that there was more life to be lived.
You're a small business with big goals, and Sage Account.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that does it for this edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Thank you for watching this edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Have a great rest of your Thursday. See you back here next time for another edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Goodbye, everyone.